The first fight started before the sun. The espresso machine hadn't even warmed up yet. It was 5:12 a.m., and I was tiptoeing in with mascara flaking and the taste of Red Bull still in my throat when I found Mark sitting on the edge of our couch, fully dressed, hands clasped so tight the knuckles looked bleached. He didn't say hello. He didn't say, "Where were you?" He said very softly, "Who is Luis?" My brain did that thing where it scans for exits. There weren't any. The hallway behind him smelled like the jasmine plant our neighbor keeps near the stairwell, sweet and out of place at that hour. My phone, finally back on, vibrated with 3 voicemails in a row, all from Mark, all timestamped between 2:40 and 4:05. I pulled off my heels, cheap nude pumps I thought made me look together, and set them neatly by the shoe mat because I needed a ritual. "He's a coworker," I said, aiming for casual. "We had the launch all night." My phone died. He dropped me off. Mark nodded like a judge who has decided what the facts are and is waiting to see if he can say them out loud. "I know he dropped you off," he said, voice even. "You were on the Ring camera at 4:58. He idled for 15 minutes. You leaned back into the car twice. You hugged him." He looked up at me, eyes so tired they looked bruised. "Then you turned off your phone until now." I wanted to say, the hug was nothing. I wanted to say, we were laughing about a joke from 2 a.m. involving a bug named Rasputin that refused to die. I wanted to say, this is what product launches do to people. They make your life feel like a war room. What I said was, "You're being dramatic." I said it like the word could swat reality away. We had been together 3 years. Mark is a firefighter. He sleeps like a fox, light alert, and wakes like a person used to waiting for alarms. I am a project coordinator at a mobile app company, the person who knows who forgot to file what and how to make people do things on time without hating me. I am good at lists and reminders and telling developers their time estimates are fairy tales. I am not good at charging my phone. "Tell me why you didn't text," he said, still quiet. It wasn't the question I expected. He didn't ask about Louis' hands or mine. He asked about the blank space. I latched onto indignation because it was easier than answering. Because my phone died, I repeated, a little louder. Because Lyft was surging to $39 for 4 miles. Because it was 5 a.m. And I was in one of those office chairs for 12 hours, and my spine is barking. "Why didn't you use a charger?" The way he said it, a charger, like the thing was a character in our house who could testify against me. I opened my mouth and then closed it because I had, in fact, borrowed a charger at 1:17. I used it to bring my phone to 12%, answered 2 Slacks, and then played a song out loud at my desk to keep myself awake, watched it drain, and decided future me could deal with it. I am not proud of any of this. I am telling you because this is how stupid people are in real life when we're tired and want the path of least resistance to make us feel morally okay. I forgot. I tried, and even I could hear the question mark. Mark exhaled slowly and stood up. "I am not accusing you of cheating," he said. He looked like he had practiced that sentence. "I am telling you that rides home at 5 in the morning from a man you never mentioned, staying in the car 15 minutes, turning your phone off. Those are choices that make me feel like I'm on the outside of my own life." He tilted his head, the way he does when he's trying to understand a patient who won't describe the pain. "Do you understand why I'm upset?" I should have said yes. I should have said, I messed up. I should have texted from someone else's phone. I should have taken the lift and expensed it or slept under my desk and told you. Instead, I went for the sentence I had used twice before when he bristled at my coworker friendships, and it had worked like a fire blanket. "You're being insecure." He blinked like I'd tossed water in his face. "Insecure?" "Yes," I said, and I felt my spine stiffen like a liar's. "It's 2025, Mark. People work late. People give rides. Not everything is a scandal. You're acting like some controlling dad from a sitcom." I was tired, and tired turns me into the version of myself who wins arguments instead of keeping people. "If you can't handle my career, maybe you should date someone whose job ends at 5. I heard my voice. Sharp, theatrical. And wanted to crawl out of my skin. He went very still. "Don't talk to me like I'm your father," he said, soft. "Don't talk to me like I am the problem, because you made choices that crossed a boundary and didn't communicate." He rubbed his eyes. "I work 24-hour shifts. I see fear all night. I do not need to come home to it." He nodded once, like a man finishing paperwork. "I'm going to shower." When I'm back, we can talk like adults, or we can decide this isn't working. He walked down the hallway. The hot water came on like a curtain. I stood in the kitchen with my heels lined up like little soldiers and felt the adrenaline drain. The quiet after a launch feels like a hangover, even if you didn't drink. I opened the fridge and stared at a jar of pickles like it could adjudicate. My phone pinged, now that it had charge. A Slack from my boss, Leah, we did it. Bug count under 10, stores green light, go home and sleep. A message from Luis. Home? Text me when you wake up. Good night. 3 voicemails from Mark, the first calm, the second worry rising, the third a plea. Please tell me you're okay. I played the third twice. I wish I could tell you I went into the bathroom and apologized over the sound of the water. I didn't. I made coffee and scrolled the App Store comments for our new version, tapping little hearts on the 5-star ones like those pixels could fill the pit in my stomach. When Mark came back out, hair wet, t-shirt clean, face set, I was ready to tell him he was overreacting. He did not sit. He picked up his duffel from the hall closet like a man who knows where his things end and begin. I packed last night, he said without looking at me. I figured I'd sleep in case you came in at 2. I couldn't. I packed. He set his spare key on the counter. It was attached to the dog tag we had made the year we moved in that says our address, and on the back, if found, call Mark. I stared at the tag and thought, he is not an autobiography prop. He is a man whose name is on the lease. Where are you going? I asked, and I hate how small it sounded, like I was 6.5. Jason's, he said. I'm not making you choose between your job and me. I am telling you I won't be in a relationship where I'm the last to know how your nights end. You don't have to agree. You don't have to apologize right now. But you do have to respect that this is a line for me. He looked me in the eyes, and then I watched him look away on purpose, a kindness, so he wouldn't memorize my face this way. Text me if you want to talk when you've slept. He left without slamming anything. He did not make a speech about Luis. He did not ask for proof of something I couldn't prove because the proof is always in patterns, not one night. The door clicked. The apartment exhaled. I sunk onto the couch and slept like someone who had been running while telling herself she was floating. When I woke up at noon, the sunlight was coming in at that angle that makes our living room look like a stock photo of peace. I had the kind of headache that lives behind your eyes. I did the stupid thing you do when you don't want your life to be about feelings. I cleaned. I took out the trash. I started the dishwasher. I washed my face and saw mascara smeared like a raccoon and thought of how Mark had seen me like this. Tired, messy, trying to be mean to get out of being wrong. I texted him, "Can you come back so we can talk?" He read it. He didn't reply for an hour, and in that hour, I wrote a speech that was mostly posture. When he said, "I'll be there at 4," I deleted and started over. He arrived at 4:02, punctual like a person who respects his own time. He sat at the end of the couch, not next to me, and waited. I said, "I'm sorry I called you insecure." He nodded but didn't say it's okay because it wasn't. I should have texted. I should have borrowed a phone. I should have been out of the car in 1 minute, not 15. I should have told you about Luis before his name came in with keys in the ignition. My throat felt like sand. I'm so tired my bones hurt, but that's not an excuse for making you feel crazy. He breathed out through his nose, which is something he does when he's fighting to stay kind. Thank you for saying that, he said. I believe you didn't sleep with him. My heart jerked. I hadn't expected that sentence. I also believe you have been careless with us. He looked down, ran his thumb along a thread on his jeans. We agreed at the beginning. Remember? That if something made one of us feel weird, the other would stop and talk. Not stop entirely, maybe. But stop and talk. He looked back up. You told me I was dramatic. You turned this into 1950s versus 2025. This is not a think piece. This is our kitchen. I know, I said, and the tears started without permission. I know. I'm sorry. He nodded, like he was done being the person who teaches me my own promises. I'm not coming back today, he said. I don't know about next week. He stood. I'm not punishing you. I love you. But I'm not going to stay in a house where I feel like the parent scolding the teenager about curfew. He looked at the Ring camera notification screen on my phone, still open. Change your passcode, he added, with a little wry smile that was not mean. I don't want to know what time your deliveries come anymore. He left again. This time, I don't think he'd packed first. He moved across the hallway of decision and into the room called away silently. I sat and listened to the apartment breathe. Somewhere upstairs, someone dropped a pan. The jasmine smell got stronger, like it had bloomed at nap and wanted an audience. I had a choice then. I could call Luis and tell him Mark was jealous and controlling and double down on my indignation until it calcified into identity. Or I could sit in the ugly tub of honesty and soak. I called Leah instead. Leah is my manager, but she's also the person who brought me Gatorade when I had food poisoning and told me not to try to be useful, just to be alive. I screwed up, I said, and explained the ring, the ride, the 15 minutes, the hug. She didn't gasp. She didn't schedule a let's loop in people ops. She said, do you feel like you did anything wrong at work? I said, no. Luis and I aren't dating. He didn't touch me beyond a hug in a car. He didn't ask to come up. I didn't ask him. She said, did you feel like he expected something in return for the ride? I said, God, no. She said, okay. Then this is your relationship, not an HR thing. But I am going to say something you won't like. Say it. Don't ride home with men at 5 a.m. And not tell your partner. Even if nothing is happening, you've given him a puzzle with missing pieces. She paused. Also, our travel policy reimburses for late-night rides after on-sites. Take the lift and send me the receipt. I'll approve. I had forgotten the policy, because I never use the policy, because I don't like asking for money for myself. I draft budgets and follow other people's procedures, and then, in my life, wing it. I felt small and stupid and a little relieved. Thank you, I said, because there's more than one way to say sorry. Y texta Luis, hey. Got home safe last night. Thanks again. Quick heads up, it caused some issues at home. Totally not your fault, but I think I'll take Ubers home from late nights moving forward. Appreciate you being kind. See you Monday. He replied, totally get it. No worries. Then, because he is a decent man, for what it's worth, I wasn't trying to make trouble. Just didn't want you on the train at 4 a.m. I sent a heart and put my phone face down. For the next 48 hours, I did all the penance chores. Laundry, vacuuming crumbs from impossible corners, scrubbing the stove like it owed me rent. I didn't text Mark because he'd asked for time, and the one part of me that was quiet enough to listen said, respect it. I wrote down every time in the past 6 months I'd told myself a story that made my choices okay. It's not a big deal. He's overreacting. I'm not cheating, so I'm innocent. The list made me nauseous. That seemed like a useful data point. When Mark finally texted, it was practical. Can you send me a photo of the water heater serial number? Landlord needs it for the maintenance request. I sent it. Then I wrote, I miss you, and deleted it. I wrote, I'm sorry again, and deleted it. I wrote, therapy, and left it. He replied, yes. We started seeing a counselor named Dr. Patel. She is 50-something with kind eyes and the ability to sit with a silence until it becomes a mirror. The first session, Mark described his job and how he lives inside the kind of nights where a man's hand on a door handle can mean the difference between a kitchen fire and a funeral. He said, I can manage risk. I cannot manage secrets. He didn't look at me when he said it. The second session, I said, I was unfair and mean and used the word insecure because I was scared I had behaved badly and didn't want to be caught. Dr. Patel nodded like a choir director catching someone on the right note finally. What do you call what you did? A betrayal of trust, I said, which felt melodramatic until I heard how calm the word sounded. Dr. Patel asked Mark what a repair would look like. He said, if she's out late, I get a text. The text can be phone at 2%, we'll call at 7, safe, with Leah and Sam. I don't need a report. I need to not be guessing. And no sitting in cars at 5 a.m. I know how empty parking lots look at that hour. The stories they breed. He rubbed his jaw. I want to feel like I'm chosen, not informed after. I expected to bristle. I didn't. When a boundary is reasonable, your chest doesn't light on fire. It settles, like a dog finally recognizing a command it already knew. Okay, I said. Yes. I can do that. Dr. Patel told me to write it down like an actual policy. I did. I titled it Late Night Protocol, as a joke and then not a joke. Text Mark by 1 a.m. With status. If phone dying, use friend's phone. Always take reimbursable ride after midnight. Expense it. If someone offers a ride, decline kindly. If necessary, call Mark on speaker from the car the moment I get in. I printed it and taped it inside our key drawer. I know you're rolling your eyes. It helped. The third session, Mark said, I still don't know if I can come home. He said it with a tremor I had not heard since the day his crew lost a boy in a warehouse collapse, and he cried into my hair and said, It's not fair to people who try. We left the appointment and walked separately to our cars. The jasmine was ridiculous in the noon heat. I wanted to grab the plant and throw it into traffic. My hands stayed by my sides. I wish I could tell you we moved back in together at week 3, and everything was healed by week 6. Instead, we existed in a long, careful hallway. He kept his shift schedule. I kept mine. We didn't pretend we were okay, and we also didn't call the relationship dead. I cooked soup and brought him Tupperware like a neighbor. He replaced the batteries in my smoke alarm like a friend. In month 2, he came over to install a new Ring camera because ours had been glitching on uploads. He asked if I wanted him to add me as a shared user. Yes, I said, and handed him my phone. He handed it back. You can add me, he said. The difference was small and massive. Where does Luis fit into this? He didn't after that. We stayed coworkers. He didn't text me late. He saved me a seat in meetings and said, Great deck when I presented. He started dating someone in QA and brought her to trivia night. I met her and liked her. The office went on being an office, which means people's lives intersected in small, boring, human ways. HR sent a quarterly reminder about travel safety and harassment policy. I read it like scripture. Some of you reading this want a big external consequence. You want me fired, Mark cheated on, Luis scandalized. That's not how most grown-up mistakes end. They end with a man leaving his key on a counter and a woman printing a dumb protocol to tape inside a drawer and a plant that keeps smelling like sweetness even when you're sick with regret. They end with therapy invoices and a spreadsheet called reimbursement rides and a dog that starts sleeping in the doorway because things are different now. The part where Mark wins. If that's a game you're keeping, didn't look like triumph. It looked like boundaries that didn't bend when I poked them. It looked like a man who didn't yell or shame or stalk my calls, who didn't make me turn on my location, who also wouldn't let me tell him he was a caveman for wanting respect. It looked like him choosing to live somewhere else rather than live here and be the hall monitor of my integrity. It looked like him sending "got it, thanks" when I texted "home safe" at midnight after our next launch and then not replying with a gold star because he's my boyfriend, not my teacher. 3 months later, after a Sunday where we didn't talk on purpose and then texts at 9 p.m. Because we couldn't stand not talking, Mark came over with a small cardboard box. I think I want to try again, he said. If you do. He set the box down. It held exactly the things he had taken that made the place feel lonely: his coffee mug from his academy graduation, the blanket with the camp logo from when he was a kid, the jar of matchbooks he collects from restaurants we've loved. He didn't make a speech. He asked a question with his hands. Yes, I said. I didn't cry because my body was tired of being dramatic for itself. I made 2 mugs of tea, and we sat on the couch like adults who have done paperwork on each other's hearts. He said, I don't need your perfect future behavior to move back in. I need 2 things. Keep the protocol on the key drawer until it feels stupid. And promise me that the next time you want to call me insecure, you'll call me first. I laughed, because the laugh was a little cry wearing mascara. Deal. We did not schedule an engagement push notification. We did not post a Notes app apology. We lived through a quiet repair. Even telling it out loud smells a little like jasmine from the hallway. Sweet and ridiculous. People always ask me if what I did counts as cheating. Legally? No. I didn't violate an HR policy by accepting a ride. Our company encourages ride-sharing for safety but reimburses ride-shares to avoid putting coworkers in weird positions. I didn't kiss him. I didn't lie about where I was. I did, however, lie about the meaning of what I did, and I did turn off my phone and sit in a car with a man for 15 minutes when I knew my boyfriend was worried. If you're looking for a section of the penal code to charge me under, you'll be disappointed. If you're looking for the part of the relationship contract I violated, it is in the appendix called "We Tell Each Other the Truth When It Matters." Last week, months after the first fight, I got home at 12:42 a.m. After a postmortem that turned into a late dinner because startups have no respect for bedtimes. I texted, heading home now, phone at 11%, taking Uber, ETA 105. He responded with a thumbs up and, I left you the fan on. Bedroom's hot. When I walked in, the apartment was dark except for the stupid little blue night light we keep by the bathroom. He had left my glass of water on my side of the bed. I drank it like a sacrament. I am not pretending I am healed into a new species. I still like being seen as cool, the girlfriend who doesn't nag. I still hate asking for reimbursements even though it's literally a benefit of my job. I still want to roll my eyes sometimes at the way the world expects women to protect men's feelings while men sometimes forget to protect ours. I also know Mark never asked me to be his hall monitor. He asked me to be his partner. There's a difference I didn't want to learn at dawn with mascara under my eyes and a Ring notification as my prosecutor. But here we are. If you're reading this because your partner is mad that someone drove you home at a bad hour, do not come to me for permission slips. Come to me for this. Call him. Borrow a phone. Text and say, I'm safe. This is who I'm with. This is our plan. If you want to reject controlling behavior, reject it. But don't call everything control, because the word lets you be lazy. Sometimes it's just a line. Lines are how bridges stand, and how firefighters don't walk into roofs that will fall on their heads. You can be a fully modern woman and still respect the line that says, don't sit in the dark with ambiguity. The jasmine is going to bloom again next week. The ring will ping. The espresso machine will complain. We will have more fights because that's what people do when they decide to share a sink and a calendar. And when I am tired and tempted to turn my phone off and tell myself that if he really knew me he'd just trust, I will remember the duffel bag, the key on the counter, his hands clenched white, the way he looked away on purpose. I will text, phone at 10%. Lyft, ETA 1255. See you soon. I will take the ride, put it on the reimbursement spreadsheet, and crawl into a bed where a man who runs toward sirens has chosen a woman who runs toward conversations. He wins, if you need it labeled, by leaving when the house was not safe for his trust, and by coming back only when the safety wasn't a speech but a habit. I win by finally caring more about the habit than the speech. At 5:12 a.m., the morning after he moved back in, our espresso machine hissed itself awake. Mark set a mug in front of me and kissed my forehead, not as a reward, but as a rhythm. Text me tonight, he said, mouth against my hair. Even if you think it's dumb. I will, I said. It is dumb. It is also love.